Hi kids, welcome to Terry on Tuesday, coming to you here from the kitchen of creation on a Sunday afternoon. I dug out the polo neck. I haven't worn this for about 6 years. It's usually my winter jumper, and as a rule I don't do jumpers or woolly jumpers really, but this is chenille and I like it. I actually dug it out because I need it for a skit later on, which you'll see in the sponsored section of our video. Anyway, as you may remember last week, I was cutting out face plates for the Vl'Hurg Commander to go on the front of the helmet, and I went through about 3 different templates before I kind of settled on a size, and this was the size. Okay, so I've cut the shapes out for the eye only on the 1/2, and the plan is to attach it to said helmet like this, and to me that looks too big. I think once this is on, and I'm going to put the helmet on now, so prepare to laugh. By the way, I finally got a haircut, thanks to Ray the barber. Okay, 1970s vum vum styling. Okay, so this goes on there. Actually, yeah, I mean, as I'm wearing it, feels kind of fine. Obviously, I can't quite see out the hole because this is in the way of my eye. And it's going to be a bit further down, actually. That's too big. That's too big because that, if I do that, is almost touching my chest. So I think that's too big. It needs to be shorter. Luckily, I made a smaller one that was actually shorter. So here's the next version, which you'll see if I put them together. Well, I've done that the wrong way around. This was the bigger one. Right. This was the smaller one, as you'll see. See? Shorter one. That's the shorter one. Yeah. Sorry, I got them wrong way around. And even this seems too big. So I made an even smaller one. They still look like Y-fronts, don't they? Still look like pants. Right, look at the size of that. That's a heck of a lot smaller, right? And I know it's smaller because these eye shapes are very much similar size to standard Stormtrooper. This is a weird helmet. Standard Stormtrooper. I feel safe though. I feel really safe. Standard Stormtrooper helmet eyeballs. Now, I can't see once I put this on, so let's do that. What does that look like? To you? I don't know. It feels better to me. I can do that and I'm not touching my chest with it. Let's take the lid off and have a quick look. That's better. That's better. Do you know what? It just goes to show that no matter how much you try and do things accurately, sometimes eyeballing it just looks better. So my plan is, I don't know if Mr. E, who I'm making this for, suggested, can I put this faceplate on the inside? Well, what I'm planning to do is putting it in between the polystyrene padding and the outer shell. It might be a bit tight. Ooh, making helmets is tight. Sorry, Ryan and George.
Oh my God.
But if I can get that to squeeze in, obviously when it's cut out of plastic, it will squeeze in there. I think that would be much more better, as Captain Jack says. Much more better. Let me see if I can just... No, it's really tight up against the front, so I can't really push that bit in. But once that's pushed in up to there, there will be another ridge going around here, which will be made from EVA foam anyway. And that will kind of look about right. That looks better. I mean, it's not going to be like this. It's going to be like that. That seems a lot nicer. As we said last time, sorry to flip you the bird, that is not quite halfway. So halfway is about there. But this doesn't go all the way back to the halfway mark anyway. So it's something like, just line it up with the center. I'm going to line it up with the center mark we put on there last week. Not enough hands. There we go. It's about there. And that seems about right. So after all of last week's video, painstakingly making a number of these, the one that I have eyeballed seems right. Now I'm going to take photos of this and photos of it taped to the helmet. Let's tape it to the helmet. I've got a bit of insulation tape. I still don't have any masking tape, I'm afraid. But right. Snippety snippety. Ready. I'm going to cut this down the middle now, so I've got more bits. Alrighty, so let's put a bit across the top. Actually, let's put a bit across the middle. I'm sorry you're so far away. And then I want 2 more bits, so I'll cut that in half for either end in order to pull the ends in. Alrighty, you see? Okay, let's get a bit closer to you. Right, so line up the centre. Can you see what we're doing? Right, line up the centre. It's about there. Use nose when in doubt. Use snout. Right, okay. Okay. I like that. Mr. E is clearly watching this, so what do you think, Mr. E? I like that. I'm gonna, obviously it's not going on the outside, it's going to be cut out of the silver plastic bin that I showed you last week, which is currently holding loads of bandages. Why is it holding loads of bandages? Because I'm making a film. Of course I am. Right. Oh, that's good. That's better. Then you've got the things coming down here. You're still not touching your chest, there's a gap there. That feels good. Do you know what? I really want to cut the eyes out now. So I'm going to get a scalpel. And if your scalpel blade, very dangerous. If your scalpel blade is running down on sharpness, I sharpen it on a sanding block. Works really well. It's surprising how blunt these go, just cutting cardboard or especially foam. You'd think they wouldn't go blunt at all cutting EVA foam, but they really do. There we go. Be careful with scalpels, kids. Don't try this at home because, see my finger there? See that scar there, all the way up to there? I basically severed the tendon, partially severed the tendon here many years ago in work, as Neville will attest, my ex-boss, and it was spurting blood everywhere. Bloody fingers. That reminds me, I'm making a film called Bloody Students, which I'll tell you about in a bit. Anyway, I'm going to roughly cut these out. I'm not going to do an amazingly good job right now. Also, I want to cut the helmet, so I've got to be careful. I think it's lined up right anyway. This is where I cut myself to shreds on camera, like an episode of Casualty. Hang on, let's do that. There we go. Can you see? You can see. Okay. Yeah. Apologies if you're right-handed and you can't stand left-handed people doing things like this. My mother couldn't. She hated seeing me use scissors or anything left-handed. She thought it was weird. Not the first time my mother's called me weird, which probably explains why I'm so messed up. Anyway, at the time of recording this, which is Sunday afternoon, our Kickstarter for Bloody Students, the movie, is at 13%, which is £1,300, which is awesome. It's still a bit less than we need to be at this point in the month. and I realized it's probably because Kickstarter doesn't allow PayPal payments anymore. However, in the description to this video and on screen right now, you will see a PayPal link which we set up, which pays directly to Dog Bloat Media, which is the production company, if you want to pay by PayPal. And what we've decided is if you still want your rewards, your Kickstarter rewards, and you want to pay by PayPal, make the PayPal payment. We'll keep a list of everyone who does that, and also we'll make sure you get your rewards, okay? And what we'll do then, we'll put the money that you've paid via PayPal into the Kickstarter fund, so we'll get closer to the goal, you see? I'm kind of annoyed at Kickstarter, but at the end of the day, they're doing it because it protects them from people just pulling out of their donations. Right, let's put this back up. I've only done the one eye. So, as I say, descriptions for the Kickstarter, links for the Kickstarter and the PayPal link are all in the description. All right, now I can see what I'm doing. That's good. That's pretty good. Obviously, he's going to have a nose that sticks out here and comes in about there. So it's like, that's going to be mesh. These are going to be mesh. Those aren't going to be cut out. They're going to be slightly recessed, which we'll do with the vinyl. So I like that. Everything else is going to be over here, so this won't be seen. You can still have this on if you want to connect that under there, etc. I'm not going to do it, otherwise I'll never get it off. But I quite like that. I think that's good. Because he's also going to have a ridge, he's going to have a crest, and he's going to have giant horns up here. Kind of up here, yeah. Still not quite sure how I'm going to do those. But yes, it is a little bit Darth Vader. It's a little bit Trojan warrior, Spartan type thing. But that ain't bad. That ain't too bad. Yeah. It does look like a stormtrooper from there, admittedly. But we've got vinyl and stuff. So I think I'm going to trace this now onto the bin. Looking at this, it's wider at the bottom. So I need to trace it on the bin upside down, because the bins, obviously, they taper that way. So I think that would be better that way. If I did it upside down, it would get wider at the top and be a bit strange. That seems to be better, because even from the side it looks like these corners stick out quite nicely, as they do in the real thing, and I'll put up some pictures here. Let's lift it up a little bit. There we go. So I'm going to put this picture like this. Obviously there's no dead-on front view in the TV show. There's some sort of 3/4 views. I don't think there's any side views. There might be. There is a kind of view like that, but you can't really see. But I'll put the pictures up just so you can get a kind of idea. And especially for Mr. E, who has been amazing in his support of the Bloody Students Kickstarter and the film in general. So thank you again, Mr. E, for that. I hope you're happy so far with what I'm doing with this. This thing here, this leather thing, I need to keep this off. I'm not going to cut it off or anything. It'll be hidden by vinyl. But the crest goes right over here. So I know that's central, at least. Obviously central to these two rivets. But this will be just obscured by the crest and the ridge that goes all the way around. But it's looking nice. It's looking nice. Yes, I'm going to trace this. So I think I need to cut out the 2 triangles. Yeah, I'm going to cut this out as well, because at least I know I'll have all the lines scored onto the bucket. Etc, etc, etc. Yeah. Okay, let's take that off. Probably have to cut some more tape in a bit. Put that there. Yeah. Let's go find a bucket. I am back with a bucket full of bandages. Cloth bandages for mummy costumes for the film. You may notice on my socials, Bloody Students and my own Instagram, there is footage of a mummy now wearing the prototype first costume. which was quite nicely done by my friends at Purple Hat Films. Purple Hat Productions are a Cardiff-based production company, video production, and they will be shooting bloody students for me. Right, I'm going to get rid of all these. There we go. Ah, that would come in handy. Our drawings again. As you can see, ridge around the forehead there. And it does look right. It does look good. Okay. Okay. So, oh, now that's interesting. See the ridge around the forehead? There's a double ridge. There's a big one and there's a smaller one underneath, which I must remember to do. So we're looking like 3/4 of an inch or like 20 mil, followed by a 10 mil one underneath. So that's no problem, that's doable. But I need to mark out, remember, wider bit at the bottom, so we do it this way, upside down. And what's nice is, because buckets are circular, sorry, I'll do this again. Because buckets are circular, I've got at least 2 attempts at this before I have to buy a new bucket, just in case I get anything wrong. So I'm going to do that. Oh, that's good. There is a tiny moulding line along here, which I can use perfectly across the top of there to get where I'm going. Oof. Oof. Right, middle rises up a little bit, but it has to. That can go on like that. I'm going to tape the sides of this as well. Bear with. So it's a very busy time. It's a little bit scary with the Kickstarter because we are being ambitious and there's a cost of living crisis on, which I totally understand. And also with the Kickstarter thing I just told you about, people are finding it hard or unrealistic to put some money in. But we've had loads of people sharing it, including people, friends of mine on YouTube. I'm going to give a shout out to James Bruton from X Robots. He is a huge YouTuber, and you know, I've done a lot of work for him in the past, graphics and stuff, and he was very nice to tweet the Kickstarter for me. So give James Bruton a follow on YouTube if you want to see a mad inventor doing all sorts of interesting robotic projects. No. No. Yeah, it does stick out a little bit because it's the whole dynamics of the cone, but not a problem. There. Cut that in half. Just going to put one either side there and then we'll start cutting bits out. Now, the thing about cutting out on a plastic bucket is I've got to be very, very careful with it because slips are no good. I mean, I can sand any slight slips of the scalpel, I can sand them down because this is going to have a good sanding. But I am covering this plastic in vinyl, gold vinyl, so it's not as if I've got to get paint on there and get paint to stay on there, you know. So, does a pen mark it? Let's have a look. Yes, it does. I'm gonna mark it with pen first because no point in running straight to the knife when things could go wrong, right? Wrong, right? Right, wrong. Right, be gone. Things, be gone. Anyway, yeah, you can just see that the pen did mark the thingy job. Yeah, that's good. That's fine. Put it all back down. Put it all back down. I have got to, I think I've got to go into super fast mode now to trace all this off. So let's take a seat, shall we? Let's take a seat, and then we can go into time-lapse nonsense, because this is going to be a very long video already, involving a heck of a lot of talking. So let's go. Okay, enough of the, that was nearly 10 minutes of cutting. I have traced around all this and the shapes, etc. I think what the plan is now to cut out this side as well, which will save you the hassle of the time-lapse nonsense. And I will attempt to cut all this out very carefully using my Lexan scissors, which are sharp scissors we used to use for making stormtrooper armour. Let's cut back to that once I've cut all this out, because it's going to be a very slow and boring process, and you just want to see what the faceplate looks like once it's cut out of a bucket, which I can no longer use for stuff. Okay, let's cut to that.
Greetings, traveller. I'm Darth Merengue, Dreamweaver, Sith Lord, Galactic Tyrant and Registered Childminder, plus actor, and probably your father. I'd like to tell you about my new book, but I can't, because frankly, I don't think you're ready for this particular jelly. Except it's not a jelly, it's a book. It's a metaphor. We writers like to use those. This book is so terrifying, so out of the box in its horrific imagery, that mere words can't do it justice. Adequate adjectives, that's alliteration by the way, just don't exist to accurately describe the fear that will be thrust upon you when, if, you dare to gaze into its pages. Suffice to say, your previously white pants might turn to the dark side, by which I mean the brown side. Anyway, there are no words, so we did away with them entirely. I say entirely, but the publishers, curse their immortal souls, insisted that I add some, because after all, a supreme wordsmith such as I am famous for impressive word arrangements. In other words, I write good. They don't give out Nobel Prizes for literature to just anybody, which is why I had to cut the judges down one by one with a lightsaber until they did. Don't believe me? I find your lack of faith disturbing. So, clench up, citizen, and prepare yourself for the horror that is The Last Jedi, a picture book by me and some other blokes. Enjoy. Well, I say enjoy.
Hello kids, I'm back. My name is Arthur. Arthur Bucket. Arthur Bucket, look. So, there's Arthur Bucket. It's no good to anyone, but we have a faceplate. Shame about the sticker, I'll scrub that off. So, was very careful, had to use the aforementioned Lexan scissors, which are good for cutting sheet plastic, very, very sharp. Well, not sharp as in, like, ow, that hurts you, but they're very tough at cutting through plastic. So I took it very, very carefully and used a scalpel around these without slipping or cutting myself to shreds. And it's nicely symmetrical, and it's got enough at the top to slide into here, but I don't think it's going to go because it's very, very tight at the front, so I may have to cut a little bit of the polystyrene off. But let's have a look. No, he won't have it. It won't go in. Oh, kind of. Well, it's on a weird angle at the moment. It shouldn't be like this. It should be dead straight. But it's good. It's nice. It may sound like a lot of hassle just to get a piece of plastic, to buy an entire bucket and chop it in half. But like I say, I've got another chance if I get anything wrong. And it's got a nice curve that's not going to straighten out. That is how it was moulded. And the bucket was only £2.75. So why not, I say. I'm happy with that. Yeah. Cool. So the next stage will be to wrap this. Well, actually, the next stage, to make sure it fits in the little slot there. So I'm going to cut a bit of the polystyrene off. And I'm being watched. I'm being watched by the cat, the local stray cat. Look, where is he? There he is. I see you. I actually put food on the path for him, and all he did was, as usual, came up to me, meowed a lot, and then started hissing at me. So I closed the door, and he can forget it. You don't get no food if you're going to hiss at me, because he tends to attack. Very, very strange schizophrenic cat. Anyway, where were we? Yes. The next bit is to make sure this will fit nicely in here and find a way of, I'll probably glue it, I don't know. I may use Velcro because this needs to be taken apart in order to ship to the States and reassembled there. I don't really want to have the whole thing put together and find a huge box. So I think we'll make it disassemblable. That's a word. Now, anyway, happy with that. It's the right size now, I think. It's the right curve. It's got the right sound of, you know, narrow at the top, wider at here. I think that's going to do really well. Anyway, but that's going to happen next week, hopefully. I've got to get some fish fingers out the oven because I'm hungry. And I've got time running out because I've got to do a podcast with the Undead Wookiee podcast, which a link will be in the description. We'll be talking about my previous film, my new film, and if you can make a pledge or donation to Bloody Students via the Kickstarter link, which is here and in the description, or the PayPal link, which is also in the description, that would be awesome because time is ticking on and I don't know if we're going to make it, but even if it's like £1 or something silly like that, everything pushes us towards the target, and you know, we'll be making a film at the end of the year with Paul Putner and Sophie Aldred from Doctor Who. Anyway, that's all from me for this weekend. Take care now. Bye bye.